Hi, I'm Lisa Singer. I am the Senior Director of Event Programming at Media Post. And this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Taryn Rayment. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at FTD and Pro Flowers. Welcome, Taryn. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, well, I'm so happy too. I definitely have heard some, you were referred to me by one of someone that I've been working with, and he is such a big fan of yours. So I am very happy they were able
Oh,
to make it
thank
work
you.
because since doing my snooping, which I always do, I have become a fan of yours as well. So I'm really happy to
Thank
be
you.
able to do this. So anyway, I have to start with you guys have recently had your commercial spots. You were focusing on what is the most perfect gift, and that's what I want to sort of turn it around to you. So, what has been your most perfect gift ever that you've ever received? And it can't be something from FTD.
I do love flowers, though. I do have to say that. But no, so, I am blessed to have a husband who's incredibly thoughtful when it comes to gifting. He'll like remember little tidbits of things that I say, and whenever events coming up, he'll gift me something. So there's a lot from him that is actually kind of hard for me to pick one.
Right?
But I have an 11-month-old. And so after he was born, my husband got me a ring with all three of our birthstones on it. And it's just, I
Oh,
love it. Every time I look at it, it makes me happy, makes me think of our son. So yeah, I'd probably pick that.
oh, that's beautiful. Do you have it on?
I do actually. Yeah, here it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not doing justice on Zoom, but but that is really lovely. I mean, that is and definitely I'm sure your husband was, being given a lot of leeway for a little while after that. He did no wrong because of that gift.
It's a nice one. It's thoughtful. So I love it.
Yeah, and when you said you love flowers, I am the same way. I definitely love to get them. But I remember the first time I got them, I was in college. And I had a boyfriend for years, but he just never did stuff like that. And I was in college and I got that call up from the dorm,
Mhm.
you have flowers, come down and pick them up. And I literally started crying. And my roommate's there and my friend of ours, and I ran all the ninth floor, ran all the way down and got it. And I'm assuming it's of course from him. And it wasn't, it was from my girlfriend. It's just from my roommate and best friend next door. So it wasn't the romantic, but it still meant so much. So it really is something that, I mean, like I said, that I remember that first time, that first feeling. So you must
Yeah.
love that, being a part of a organization that is that for so many people.
It's one of the most fun parts of my job, honestly. I mean, we're there for such happy moments. Unfortunately, we are there for sad moments, but we're there to make someone feel happier in a sad moment. So it has that meaning behind it, which is really great. So, and we always make sure to include that in marketing too.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really such a, I mean, like I said, I still enjoy them.
Mhm.
Hint, hint, anyone? um, so I want to get into as far as your career, because I know you started on the agency side and then you went to brands like Toomey and Cole Haan. Is that Han or Han? I never know that.
Han.
Han, it is right. Okay. And now here at FTD. So talk about that when you were first starting out or even first graduating. What were the thoughts? What were your dreams? Where did you see your path, your career path going? And then how it evolved to where you are.
Yeah. What's actually fun, my very first job out of school was actually in a B2B sales role. And it was not what I wanted to do at all. I went to school for marketing, loved marketing. It was just sort of like where I landed. And I wanted to get out. I wanted to get into the marketing world. So I actually shifted to B2B marketing, which was great. I learned a ton. But I really wanted to be like, I just envisioned, being in that like fancy marketing role, like for a consumer brand, and really just wanted to get over to the consumer side. So then I went to the agency world, and I tell anyone who's starting in marketing, you have to work in an agency at some point because you learn so much. I mean, because it's just all around you. You have to be up to date on everything at all times. You're in the weeds and all the different marketing channels. There's lots of different clients you can learn so much from. There's so much opportunity there. So I started there. I was there for a few years and I just loved it. I worked on a bunch of retail clients, launching like their first websites ever. So like launched Tumi's first website, which is crazy. Their first like digital marketing stuff. This was back when it was all like kind of starting to ramp up. So yeah, so I had a few other clients other than Tumi, learned a ton, and just really wanted to go on the client side and kind of make the final decisions. I'd say that's the one downfall of the agency side, is you have all these great ideas and you pitch them and they don't necessarily always come to fruition. So I wanted to be the one who like made things come to fruition. So I went to the client side. I was at a couple brands before Tumi, and then Tumi kind of snatched me up. And it was great. I was there for a bunch of years, running all their digital marketing, their CRM and analytics. And then I went over to Cole Haan and launched, really sort of built their team around retention and acquisition marketing. And here I am now, CMO FTD Pro Flowers. And, I kind of set goals for myself throughout my career. I said, okay, I want to be at this level by this age. I kind of like would push myself to get to certain places. And it's awesome to have gotten here. And, just with everyone that I've worked with over the years and who I've learned from, it's been an incredible ride so far. So, yeah.
So are you on timeline? Are you ahead of timeline, like in terms of where your goals were?
Yeah, I think I'm a little ahead of timeline, which is awesome. So I think I did it. So I'm feeling pretty proud.
Well, I'm curious. So, because on one hand, you can set these goals and then, okay, one, you could be disappointed, but two, it could also keep you in maybe this kind of path as opposed to being open to others. But the fact is that you got there. Do you think, like someone starting out do you think it's sort of set what your goal is, or maybe see, put your, what is it, that to do, whatever vision board of how you see your future? Is that a good way to really sort of be accountable to yourself to make it to where you are now?
I mean, I would say yes, because I'm biased and it worked for me, but only because I'm a planner. I mean, I'm very type A. So for me to kind of go into something and say, I love working. My career has always been super important to me. So when I kind of went in, I said, okay, I want to learn X, Y, and Z by this time. I want to be kind of well-rounded in all these different areas. So I sort of took jobs that would help me to do that. So I think the planning piece helps you for that. So it kind of helps you to say, okay, I want to learn these different things. So in order to do that, I need to be going to these different places. So if only even just for that, I think it could be helpful.
Yeah, no, and that completely makes sense. I mean, to have that, I don't want to say it as a checklist, but like as you said, if I'm going to get from point A to point B, I need to do this, this, and this in between. So that does make sense. Although I'm sure if all of a sudden it twisted a little bit, you would then make your own you're a planner, so you'd make your list to do that, but you'd be open to those opportunities as well. So
for sure.
Well, I want to ask, has there been a challenge in your life, or what is your greatest challenge that maybe it seemed almost unsurmountable, but whatever? How did you respond, and then how did you get through it?
I mean, there's been a lot of challenges. I'd say because it's fairly recent. I started this role in April of 2020, which is not the most ideal time to start a new job. For your first C-level role, I mean, it was very difficult. And I went in knowing I was gonna have to kind of turn the brand around, really get their marketing department on track. And, being a face on a screen in this remote world where everyone's lives are falling apart, we're in the middle of a pandemic. It was a challenge. And how do I bond with these people over Zoom and make them trust me and know that I'm going to help them and I'm going to get this place in the, moving in the right direction. And I was always someone who would just I wouldn't team someone. I would get up and I'd go to their desk and I'd chat with them face to face, and not being able to do that with a new team. It was honestly probably one of my biggest professional challenges so far, is just to learn how to navigate that. And I think it was kind of difficult for everyone to figure out how to do that, but especially for, this role that I was so excited about, and just being able to navigate it was a bit tough, but we did it. And, I think we succeeded, and we've continued to do really well with it. So
why do you think, and I do agree that I think it was a challenge for a lot of people just adjusting to that kind of, it's almost like you're in a silo, but then you're not, and so, and then for you just meeting these people. But so how do you think, what was it, would you say, really helped you get through it the easiest way? Or, I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of, ups and downs, but in terms of what do you credit that to?
I would like how I just said, I would get up and I'd go to someone's desk. I would try to do that in a virtual world. So instead of just messaging someone, I'd try to, do things more face to face with them than I probably would have been if, I had worked with them previously. Again, to kind of get that more like personal, that that really face-to-face time, and we're just really getting to know each other a little bit more. So we tried to do, all those remote networking, like fun, like happy hours and things like that to try to like bond a little bit. So I think that helped a little bit as well. But yeah, I think just trying to be as personable as I could in a very non-personable world.
Like trying to be you. In a way, to be, look, this is how I get to know people one-on-one, face-to-face. So, just you doing it now virtually, but it's kind of that same mentality or that same way. So yeah, that makes sense. I know in the beginning, everyone was trying to do so many things during COVID to make it so it's fun. And like when we did virtual summits, which actually went okay. But one of the first ones, we did an exercise class. It was like long. We did this like 2-minute exit or 5-minute exercise break. I'm like, okay, not to do. So I'm sure there were a lot of those as well. Like, all right, this isn't working at all. Let's move on to the next thing.
I love the thought, though. I mean, yeah, get everyone moving, get them excited. Look, it's a fun talking point now.
Get them up. We had like a very entertaining guy who was teaching, doing the class, and it was just like, yeah, it was a total fail.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, well, I want to know because one, you also, I want to jump back to a little bit what you said with Toomey. You it was like a startup. They were just getting going up, and you were just creating their website. Whereas FTD, you guys have been around since 1910. So this is a legacy brand that's evolved so much over the years. So I want to ask you in terms of the difference there. Like, what was that like compared to that, kind of, okay, let me take it where I want. Not that you're not doing that with FTD, but you know what I'm saying? Like when there's nothing in front of you, you have sort of all of this, whatever you can do. But then when you do have this legacy brand, what was a different mindset?
Yeah. It's interesting because there's a lot of parallels between them, but they're also incredibly different because they're both well-respected brands. They have a ton of brand recognition and they're great in their different areas. And, to me, kind of, it wasn't like they had just started. It's just that we were just launching their first website. So it was like during that time, so they had existed, they had storefront, people knew who they were. So we kind of had that to go off of it when we started doing marketing. Starting at FTD though. So, there's this legacy brand, but it had been a little bit bruised. It went, and through bankruptcy about a little less than a year before I had started. And so, it was really coming in. There was a lot of things that were broken that we just had to fix, and we had to really get the brand moving in the right direction. So, it was a really exciting opportunity to say, okay, it's got this brand recognition already, and everyone knows who they are. But now, how do we make sure that it's like moving in the right way, and that the marketing is really speaking to its heritage? If you had gone to the website prior, you wouldn't even have known that. No one knew that it was, a 100-year-old brand, and that that we were working with all of these local florists and really empowering their businesses, not only sending them orders, but also with all of their like technology. We're doing marketing on behalf of them, powering their POS systems, their websites, we're just really empowering them from a business perspective. That was nowhere. And, we really wanted to be able to bring that to the forefront because that's who we are as a brand. And it's important for people to know that. So it was just interesting because they both are so well respected and known, but there was sort of this hidden piece of FTD that we wanted to be able to bring forward and really help push it in the right way. So, and it's been doing well so far, so which is great.
And I agree. I didn't know that until doing my new snooping on you. That's when I learned that you guys had been helping these smaller shops get going and get their business going. And obviously today that's so much more valuable. So, and that's something that really differentiates you guys from others. So all of those as a marketer, of course, are what needs to be front and center. So that definitely makes sense. Was it a little bit when you're going and, like, again, a legacy brand, but, then it was bruised, as you said, was that a little daunting to then, because this is your first, as you said, first sweet, it's a big step in, career. Did you sort of balk at it a little bit ever? Was there a moment where you were maybe like, ooh, maybe this isn't where my first CMO role should be?
No, I like fixing things. No, I never did. I was really excited about it, and it was a challenge. It was, but it's been really fun, and it's fun to be able to have seen it turn around and been, and we're doing so well, and just everything that's been happening with the brand so far, it's been really exciting to be a part of. So no, I think I was always really excited about it.
Yeah, and you must be proud too. You know what I mean? To be a part of that now, where, like you said, bringing it now to, doing much better and really being able to showcase you guys shine the way you should be. Well, I have to ask again, going with, since you are a marketer, with your commercial, one of the slogans, I guess, in the commercial is that's, a very long time doing something, since 1910, you guys have been doing it that long. What about for you, just personally? Has there been something, not since 1910, but has something that you've been doing the longest in your life that you continue to do? And what is that?
Oh, I really like cooking. And so I feel like ever since like I was little, like helping in the kitchen, and now of course, doing it myself and cooking, just it's sort of like my release at the end of like a long day at work, kind of going into the kitchen, cooking something. It's a fun activity for me. So yeah.
Cooking, what type of cooking? Like, has that evolved, or did it like start out maybe, peanut butter jelly kind of thing? And now
there's still some peanut butter and jellies. It's definitely evolved. Yeah. I mean, I'll honestly cook anything. I mean, I'd say like my specialty is chicken parm right now. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, I mean, it can vary across a whole bunch of different types of foods.
Very cool. I want to ask you about, when we talk about brands, and especially in the last couple of years, it's even more so that it's really about holding brands. Consumers are holding brands to a higher standard. And, even just what you talked about with that, FTD has been helping these local, flower shops. And that's obviously very consumer, kudos to most consumers would think. And I'm not saying you're telling that, you've been doing it even behind this when no one's knowing it. How much, though, do you think that brands need to sort of, what role do they play in culture? What do you think that is their responsibility, a brand's responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for brands to stand for things and stand for things that they believe in. And that they're really truly putting something behind. I don't think it's putting a social post up every time something happens in the world isn't the way to really stand behind something. You want to like actually put some action behind it. So, we have different charities that we work with. So we work with St. Jude, Trevor Project, all of these different organizations that we truly we're behind them, and we have different products that are and proceeds of that is being donated to them. So I think it's really important to be able to make it stand in certain things, but do it in a way that has meaning.
Right, not just jump on the
yeah.
Say, okay, yeah, we're going to be part of this, and then they don't back it up, because I think so many brands who did that got called out for it afterwards. And
for sure, yeah,
that's really smart to stay authentic. All right, here's a question: if you could unlearn one thing, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would,
and you can think.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like what? I feel like in digital marketing, we sort of like grew up in this world where when cookies are a thing and you're able to track everyone and everything that they're doing, it's sort of you learned all these tactics that you just knew would work, and you'd run them, and can't really do that anymore. It's just this different world now where we can't rely on cookies, we can't rely on true tracking like we used to. So while it's like unlearning that, it's learning new things that work, which has been really fun, honestly. But I think just getting out of that mindset, and I think a lot of marketers have to like force themselves to stop thinking that way too, and force them to look at different channels in a different way.
Yeah, no, that is true. Although the death of cookies has been, he's lingering, or she's lingering for a long time. It's been a while now, but eventually. But I completely agree that many marketers feel the same way. Okay, so what is your guilty pleasure?
Ooh, my guilty pleasure. After like a hard week, like just ordering a pizza and having a glass of wine that's what'll make me happy. So all that cooking goes out the window and I order myself a pizza and just sit in front of the TV, watch something, drink a glass of wine. That's it.
I love that. I would be there, so there to join you. What's on the pizza?
Plain, which is very
Plain.
boring, but plain
Really?
pizza.
Okay, we might have to half and half.
We could do that.
I need something on it, like pepperoni, onion, something. Give it a little whatever.
We could do that.
Okay. Okay. Now again, I'm always jumping back to your spot, your FTD spot, which is so great. I love that spot. It takes a village to make things happen is another statement in it. So who's your village?
On the professional side, I mean, my team is awesome. And, they work so well under pressure, and they keep going every day, and they're really great. I love my team. On in my personal life, I'd say, my family and my friends, I told you, I have an 11-month-old. So, they've been an incredible support system over the last 11 months when it comes to, just any support I've needed being a new mom, but then also, watching the baby if we need it. So yeah, I'd say that's on both sides of the house. That's what it would be.
What is the 11-month? Boy or girl?
Oh, a boy, Joseph. Yeah.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I have to ask, but 11 months, I mean, we were coming out of COVID, but still, I mean, was that a little scary going through that during COVID, or?
It was, thankfully, so last November, it was like COVID got better, and it was like 2 weeks after he was born was when Omicron came. So it was like we were in this blissful moment of, oh, it's gone and it's fine. And I gave birth to him, and then it was like 2 weeks later it got very scary again. So yeah, it was definitely stressful. But I can't imagine having had a child earlier in COVID. I give credit to all the moms out there who did, because that had to have been very scary when you had no idea what was going on around you. So I'm grateful to have not been in that time period. So, but yeah, it definitely added a whole nother layer that, a lot of people don't do.
Or when you talk about people who gave birth during COVID, like right in the beginning, they had to do it alone.
Oh yeah, I could never imagine.
Imagine that. Like, it's just,
No.
that must have been, this is the most beautiful day, beautiful experience in your life. And then, but yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so your family, of course, then that's great
Mm.
that they are part of your village. I'm sure once Joseph gets a little older, he will contribute a little more. He might now not be as much. So, all right, I have to ask you, if you weren't a marketer, what would you be?
I would be a nutritionist. I love, and I guess it kind of goes back also to my love of cooking, but I just, how different foods interact with one another, how they affect your moods, all that stuff has always just been really interesting to me. So yeah, it's very different from marketing, but I do that.
Is that something that's always been important to you, or like what created that, interest in nutrition? Did you, have something happen in your life that made you want to be, okay, what am I putting into my body that makes it healthier? Or is it just that something that you always was important to you?
It was always something that I've always been a fairly healthy eater. I grew up where, we never had like sugary cereals in the house or anything. And it was just always in me to kind of eat in this healthy fashion, and just learning more about it and how you can how it all interacts with one another was just really interesting to me. So, I continue to be fairly healthy, other than my Friday night pizzas. So.
Well, I think that's pretty doable. I mean, if that's your work thing, then definitely. I love in terms of figuring out the different spices to work with one another. 'Cause I think we get so used to using the same things, like some garlic or some this, and so I like to learn more about those kind of things. So I'm curious where all this came from. Who inspires you?
Oh, actually, both my parents really inspired me in their own ways. My dad was an entrepreneur, so he was very, very driven. So I think that, rubbed off a bit on me. And my mom always was also very hardworking. I just came from a very hardworking home, which I think, has kind of led me to where I am. So.
Wow, very cool. Did you think, when you look at now, like if you see when you were first in school, or even when, I'm curious, when you were in, say, in elementary school, because of dad who's an entrepreneur, it's not, I mean, I guess there's marketing aspect to it, but I mean, were you even thinking that way, or was there something else that was ever on your mind to be like, okay, this is what I want to be when I grow up?
No, I wanted to be a teacher when I was little. So yeah, I think the business piece kind of kicked in, I'd say maybe high school. When you're starting to think about what major. You want to start exploring. I think that's when I started thinking the business route. And then, I talked a lot to my dad about it, and marketing just kind of felt right. And I loved it. So, but yeah, when I was a child, it was being a teacher, and I'm not sure why, but
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and I guess you are. I mean, marketers can be kind of teachers, and you have to
yeah,
like in
it's
terms
true.
of what you're doing. So, well, anyway, Taryn, thank you so much. This has really been great talking with you, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
I'm glad, and thank you for watching. And as I always say, if you want to recommend anyone for me to pull back the curtain on, please let me know, and I will do my best. Thanks for watching. Thanks again, Taryn.
Thanks.